Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sarah Labrat, and in today's video I'm going to try writing like Sarah J Maas. As of the day that I'm posting this video, A Court of Silver Flames comes out tomorrow. And because of that, I really wanted to try Sarah J Maas's writing routine because I've done a lot of research on her writing just because she is such a prolific author. If my math is correct, which is sometimes questionable, she is currently at 14 published novels, and the addition of A Court of Silver Flames will bring her up to 15 published books in the last 7.5 years. That's because she publishes about 2 books a year, and I think that's freaking insane. As of when I'm making this video, she has sold over 9 million copies, and her books have been translated into 37 different languages. Sarah J Maas has a lot of fun writing quirks that I'm very excited to try today. So without further ado, if you enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up because it really supports my channel. And if you like this and want to see more from me, but you're not already subscribed, make sure you scroll down below, hit that big red subscribe button and that little notification bell next to it. And now let's try writing like Sarah J Maas. Okay, it is now 12:15. I am just now able to step away from work, which means that we are going to start the day with what Sarah J Maas eats for breakfast, or at least used to eat for breakfast in the interviews that I could find. It's very specific. She has a glass of ice water, a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. I'm not freshly squeezing mine today. I did just buy it from the store. A cup of English breakfast tea and 3 pieces of turkey bacon, but I don't eat meat, so I'll be doing vegan sausage patties instead. But I'm gonna make breakfast now, even though it is early afternoon. And Sarah J Maas tends to start her day with her administrative tasks, and I'm interpreting that for me to mean my job, which means that I'm going to finish all of the work that I have to do for my job before I can get into writing like Sarah J Maas. Here is breakfast. I have my vegan sausage patties that I may or may not have burned, my water, my English breakfast tea, and my orange juice. I'm gonna eat while I finish working. I'm pretty close to being done, but as soon as I'm done, we will then talk about some of Sarah J Maas's weird writing quirks and how I'm gonna be writing like her this afternoon. It is now 2:13 p.m. After I finished eating and work for the day, which was probably about 30 minutes ago, I did hop on and finish everything that I needed to finish for a YouTube video that's going up tomorrow morning so that I don't have to stress about that for the rest of the day. That's kind of something that I consider personal admin work, like Sarah J Maas does. My whole working thing was definitely just trying to shove that into the administrative tasks that Sarah does. But I think that all of that is okay because I am very much under the impression that Sarah J Maas is not a morning person because she doesn't start writing until after she's accomplished all of her administrative tasks and eating breakfast and whatnot. So I think, at least for the interviews that I was finding, I think she's more of an afternoon evening writer, which is totally cool with me. And now that we are in the afternoon, I'm getting much more ready to start writing like her. She does have several writing quirks, and so I'm gonna have to change into the first one because it kind of seems like she has a uniform is what I'm gonna call it, but she says that she wears long spandex pants. So I'm assuming those are yoga pants, leggings, whatever you want to call them, a fandom t-shirt, and a pair of fandom socks. I think all of my fandom shirts are at my parents' house right now, and I don't think that leggings are actually all that comfortable, so I'm going to adjust that a little bit and wear joggers and just a comfortable t-shirt instead, but I do think I have fandom socks that I have to go find. I will say that I don't think I'm full from breakfast, but I did definitely drink all 3 of the drinks, and so I'm feeling very hydrated, but also already getting a little bit of a caffeine headache, and I'm not sure if that's because I didn't eat anything else other than what Sarah J Maas says, so I will probably eat something else just to try and lessen the effects that that's gonna have on me, because I know that if I'm feeling jittery with caffeine, I'm not gonna get any writing done. That brings us to this outfit. It says introverted but willing to discuss Texas. It's just very comfortable, and I've written a lot in this shirt. And then I'm wearing joggers instead of leggings because I actually don't like wearing pants when I write. I like wearing shorts, and so I felt like joggers were a good in between. So the pants, I feel the caffeine. Anyways, the Always socks and the Hufflepuff socks. This is why I don't drink caffeine. I feel chaotic, but hopefully that'll be a good thing for the writing. That is marked for December. And it's definitely February right now, so I need to change that. I've also just been crossing off months and writing in the new ones, so that's about to happen. I'll finish fixing it later. But now that I'm in my writing room, we're gonna talk a little bit about Sarah J Maas's writing quirks and what she has to have a part of her writing routine. She seems to write pretty much exclusively in her office, and that her office is kind of set up as a sanctuary. And she says that it's the only place that's set up in her house with a lot of fandom things. I have not really had the opportunity to make that happen for this space for me yet, but that might be coming, we'll see. But I am in my office. I like to call it my writing room. And in some of the interviews that I both listened to and watched, she would say, I work all day in an office alone, that she locks herself up in her office for up to 12 hours a day. And so it's pretty clear that she really likes her office. According to the interviews that I researched for this video, Sarah J Maas does write using Microsoft Word, which is also my preferred software, so I already have that and I'm set. She is a pantser, which is very interesting because her books are so like elaborate. In order to pants them, that sounds like a feat to me. I would go so far though to call her like a headlights writer, where she basically has a concept for the next couple of scenes that she wants to write, but beyond that she might not really know until the end of the book, and she's just kind of writing from point A to point B. She does say that she tries to write daily unless she is on an intentional writing break, and that she doesn't really set a word count goal for herself, but she does try to get at least 1,000 words written. The way she seems to set it up for herself is she tries to get through X scene, like she knows how many scenes she wants to accomplish in a day, and she knows where she wants to stop at the end of the day. I say she wants to write at least 1,000 words, and if not more, because I did read that she tries to write at least 1,000 words a day, but I've also heard that she sometimes drafts her novels in like a mad dash, where she like writes them in 2 weeks because she just goes into her office, shuts the door, locks herself in her office, and writes for like up to 12 hours a day. And in one of the interviews that I'll touch on a little bit later, because there were some more interesting pieces to it, is that her highest word day, at least the highest one that I've heard her say, was 18,000 words. I know. So basically, somewhere between 1,000 and 18,000 words a day. There are just 3 more quick things that I want to mention before I get writing today, and that is that she permanently keeps a notebook on her desk. Something that I found very interesting was that she writes exclusively on her computer, but whenever she gets stuck, she reaches for that notebook and she works through whatever problem she's having, or whatever issue with the plot or writer's block she's having. She works it out all by hand. And I kind of like this interesting dichotomy between typing and handwriting, and so I'm going to move a notebook onto my desk in case I need it. The second thing is that she writes to soundtracks and movie scores when she's writing, and I have not done that in a very long time. I personally typically listen to music before I write, and then I write in silence. And I haven't written to music in a really long time, so I'm very interested to see how that's gonna go today. I do already know which movie soundtrack I want to write to today, but we'll see how long I can actually have that playing in the background before it really starts to bug me. And the third thing is that Sarah J Maas has a mirror in her office so that she can like look at herself and sort of try to figure out what characters' motions or facial expressions will be in order to write them down appropriately. I have never tried that, and I'm so curious to put a mirror in my office today and see if that helps, or to see if that like kind of freaks me out that I can kind of see myself typing. We'll see. And that's the mirror setup. This way, if I want to see myself while I'm sitting right here, I have to lean forward a little bit in hopes that that makes me feel less weird about a mirror being in here. Okay, the caffeine headache is real. Granted, I don't know if it's actually a caffeine headache or just a headache. I don't normally drink caffeine though, so I'm assuming it's a caffeine headache. So I had to go and eat something else. So now it is 4 o'clock and I'm gonna start writing. I did pull up my favorite movie soundtrack to write to that I used to write to occasionally, and so I'm gonna play this while I'm writing. Okay, caffeine headache, still a thing. It's being very weird right now, where I was like too tired to like stare at a screen, but like too energetic to like rest. And so I just laid down on the couch for a few minutes and did some reading. But now I'm feeling better and ready to start thinking about writing again. So something that I really wanted to mention that I find fascinating is one of the things that I heard in Sarah J Maas's 88 Cups of Tea interview. 88 Cups of Tea is a podcast that interviews authors basically. And in that interview, she mentioned when she finished the second book in the ACOTAR series, A Court of Mist and Fury, she finished that book on deadline because she had to turn it in the next day. So she, in like a mad sprint to the end, wrote 18,000 words in one day, which is like mind-blowing to me. Like 18,000 words in a month is a good month for me, at least when I'm drafting. And so to hit 18,000 words in one day is like absolutely ridiculous. But she said that she did that in part because the Olympics were on when she was working on finishing that, and watching athletes who have trained for so long just put it all out there and watching them achieve such like fantastic things. I don't even know how to describe it, but watching people who have trained so hard for something and then triumph in that thing was very motivating to her. And so I'm gonna take a few minutes, because my kitchen is a little bit messy from earlier, to pull up some old Olympics clips on YouTube and watch that as I'm washing the dishes, see if that gets me really inspired to go back and write, and just see if I find that really inspiring. I know that the past several days researching Sarah J Maas has been very inspiring for me in my writing, just because she's been able to accomplish so much in so few years. So I kind of hope that it's going to have a similar effect to that, but we'll find out. It is now a little bit after 6. I just finished eating dinner, and while I was eating dinner, I did watch some clips from the Olympics over the past several Olympics. Sarah J Maas did emphasize that she was watching a lot of the gymnastics and swimming, and granted, the Olympics were live when she was finishing A Court of Mist and Fury, and I understand kind of like the feeling, because I get that feeling when I watch the Olympics, is I just feel like immensely inspired by these people who have worked so freaking hard, that it's a little different when you're just watching like highlight reels on YouTube, because it's not like, at least with my family, we would kind of like leave the TV on in the background almost constantly while the Olympics were happening, so you were just like in the room, the Olympics were on, and just like getting inspired that way. So it's a little different watching like a highlight reel without all of like the suspense building up to like, oh, the swimming is gonna be happening in like an hour now, oh, now it's happening, that's the next event, you know? So kind of interesting. I get the gist. I do feel like I want to sit down and write again, which is good, so I'm gonna sit down and write. I didn't necessarily lock myself in my office all day, but I'm giving it the best that my brain can handle today. Okay, I did just get to a point where I need to use the mirror to figure out how to describe a facial expression, so I am getting to use the whole putting the mirror in my office. Also, my phone is currently propped up against one of my candles that's like the same color of the case, and I kind of love that. I need something that's like confused, but not like too confused. Almost more like a concern confused. Like, how do I describe like that? I don't know. It is kind of helpful to be able to see it though. It is now much, much darker. The sun has completely gone down. I have spent about a total of an hour writing today and have rewritten about 1,300 words so far. I do enter like an intense state of concentration whenever I'm in my writing room that I don't really seem to achieve anywhere else in my apartment. And yet I don't come in here like all that often. I end up typically writing on either my couch or at my counter, when like I know that this is my writing room. Like, this is the purpose of this room, and yet I still don't tend to use it for that. So I think that that's just a good reminder, is that I do write really well in here. I would consider this like my writing sanctuary. Writing is like the only thing that I ever do in this room, and it has such a calming presence. And I know I didn't turn on my salt lamp or my candles, but like I have my fairy lights plugged in. Like, it's just a very welcoming environment, and so it's always so peaceful when I actually get to write in here. I'm just not really sure why I don't write in here more often. It's now about 6:40. I did get a text from my sister-in-law asking me if I wanted to go hang out with them just while they work on their stuff. I can work on my stuff. So I'm gonna go over to their apartment to write. And I am going to allow this because one of the interviews that was done in like a blog post with Sarah J Maas had advice for young writers, and it included things like reading and living your life, and I would consider this living my life because I do want to go see them, and I've done this with them before. They just sit there and work on their stuff. I sit on my computer and work on my stuff, so I will pretty much just be relocating from this spot over to their apartment on the couch. Also, an update on the caffeine headache. It is lessening now, thank goodness, and I can finally pay attention better. So I'm going to relocate to the other apartment, and then I'm going to get back to writing. I am now back from hanging out with my brother and sister-in-law. Throughout today, I ended up switching between playlists and playing music versus not playing music. When I was playing music, I started with the Theory of Everything soundtrack, and then I went to some of Sarah J Maas's playlists that she has made and made available on Spotify for her readers to listen to, that include the songs that she listened to when she wrote a certain book. So I listened to the Queen of Shadows playlist, which is my favorite freaking Sarah J Maas book, and then a little bit from her Era of Fire playlist, playlists, but I kind of found it hard because oftentimes the music would shift in a way that I wasn't writing in the scene. And so if I had like planned out songs, that might work better, but that sounds like a lot of work, honestly. One of the other things that Sarah J. Maas claims as like crucial to her writing routine is ending off on a cliffhanger or the end of a chapter so that the next day she feels like she has to come back and write more. And so I'm gonna finish today on a cliffhanger. I ended up writing for about 2 hours. I know that that is nowhere near like 12 to 16 hour days like she said she has had, but I'm feeling very comfortable with that number and I'm very happy with it. And I did do over 1,000 words, and so I think I made the bar. And in those 2 hours, I ended up rewriting a total of 2,393 words. One of my favorite quotes that I took from the interviews that I was looking into was Sarah J. Maas saying that writing is a muscle. I don't know if Sarah J. Maas was the first one to say this. I highly doubt it, but she's the one that I heard say it, so that's what I'm gonna give credit for. I think this really goes into trying to write every day. I know that that does not work for a lot of people with a lot of like variety and schedule, but I do understand that consistency is the best way to build any muscle, and that because she returns to the page day after day, locks herself in that office and just keeps going, that's how she's able to write such massive books and publish 2 freaking books a year. She also quoted something else and I forgot to write down what she was quoting, but she said, "You can reach your dreams if you are willing to sacrifice and put in the hard work and the effort." This totally feels like it plays into her watching the Olympics when she was writing and like had that massive word day. And I think that's so interesting that she was watching the Olympics and was watching something like very inspiring like that, because it's people who have worked for years in silence, training and preparing for the Olympics and then qualifying for the Olympics and then competing in the Olympics. And it's sometimes like a minute of glory and that's it when they're just like running or swimming or doing their gymnastics routine, but it's all of the years of hard work that gets put in behind the scenes before anyone sees anything that's so important, and that's where your ability as a writer really grows. I think that's such a cool analogy, and it's kind of a good reminder that writing a book is hard work, because sometimes people chalk it up to be like this absolutely glorious experience, and it is very, very fun. Please do not get me wrong, it's very fun. I really enjoy writing a book. I think it's so cool to be able to create worlds that did not otherwise exist, but it is hard work and it's very time consuming and it takes a long time, and there's a lot of going unrecognized for a long time too that just kind of like all comes with the territory, unfortunately, but you have to put in the work before you get to the track. Sarah J. Maas says that writing is a muscle, and that's why she tries to write pretty much every day, and that's why she makes it such a priority on top of being a full-time author now, which I also wanted to mention. She graduated in 2008, was unemployed for 18 months, had a job for 18 months, had a job working for a college actually in Cairo, Egypt, right before there was like a lot of disruption that happened in Egypt, and when that happened, she got laid off. That was 3 years after graduating. That is when she started writing full time. So I think that's freaking awesome. Some of the things that I really liked about Sarah J. Maas's writing routine was that she does lock herself in her office and she makes it such a priority to write, and I understand that as a full-time writer one would have to, but that her office is like her sanctuary. And I definitely am starting to feel that way about mine, because like it's so peaceful. When I walk into this room, it's like the quietest room in my apartment. I feel oddly comforted about the fact that she's a pantser and not a plotter. I like that she uses a mirror to write, and I actually forgot that in my kitchen where I tend to actually write, I do have a mirror sort of like hanging on the wall next to me. So I can actually look over and look at facial expressions, so I don't necessarily need to leave a mirror in the corner of my office, but it also like didn't have a good spot before that, so it might actually stay right here in the corner. I kind of found difficulty with trying to write to soundtracks and music just because the way that the music changed didn't always reflect what I was working on writing, and so I think I would have to like create a very specific playlist in order to write effectively to it. I also like that she doesn't set like a daily word goal for herself, but she's like, I want to get through this scene. I think there's something very cool about that, because I feel like so many authors do focus on like the get 1,000 words a day, get 500 words a day, get 2,000 words a day, whatever. And then I also really liked that she tried to end each day on a high note of like a cliffhanger or a chapter ending or something, so that the next day she would want to get right back into it. So with that, I highly recommend trying out some of these techniques that she uses, because they were just kind of fun and quirky. But if you choose to try them, please let me know down in the comments below. But alright, I think that's going to be it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, because it really supports my channel by by telling the YouTube algorithm that you liked my video and that someone else might too. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more from me, make sure you scroll down below, hit that big red subscribe button and that little notification bell next to it so that YouTube notifies you every time I upload a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye!